Jaws is a legendary film. It came out in 1975, was directed by Steven Spielberg, and famously had a lot of trouble with its production. The shark didn't work a lot of the time, and there were various other issues in the production of the film, which meant that the end product was actually very different to what the makers had initially planned. But as it turns out, that wasn't necessarily a bad thing, because the suggested presence of a monster can sometimes, if not usually, be better than actually showing the creature as much. And that is certainly the case in Jaws. Now, Jaws has gone on to be one of the most culturally significant movies ever made, especially in the creature feature genre. Now, arguably no other creature feature since Jaws has really lived up to how good it was. It really was a benchmark, in effect the first summer blockbuster, and it was the highest grossing film of its time, making over $470 million from only a $9 million budget. Now, the film revolves around three primary characters, played by Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss, who are three men from very different walks of life with very different personalities who are forced to work together in a situation that they would rather not be in for the most part, to hunt down a killer great white shark. And it's not really a spoiler to say that. It goes with the poster of the film that it's about a big killer shark. It's fairly obvious. And this film is fantastic. It's one of my favourite films ever, and I don't know many people, if anyone, who could actually say that they don't like this film. There's nothing really not to like. Now, as far as breaking the film down into our primary categories, we first of all, of course, have the story and the plot. And for the story and plot of Jaws, I'm going to give the film a 7. Because although the film isn't necessarily as mind-bending or intriguing as, say, a mystery film, or as grand in scope as some other movies, it doesn't need to be. It has a simple story which is very, very effective. So overall, I'm going to give the film a 7. As far as the characters and their motivations, I'm going to give the film a 9. Because, as I said, there are three primary characters, and all three of those characters are fantastic. They give great performances, they're very easy to root for, and they have a great interconnected kind of love and hate each other relationship, which works beautifully throughout the entire film. There are, of course, more than just those three characters, and with the exception of one or two annoying characters in the film, all of the characters do seem needed. They are there for a reason, they feel like realistic people for the most part, and it's not really hard to root for them. Most of them, at least. So overall, I'm going to give the characters and their motivations a 9. As far as the visuals and effects, I'm again going to give the film a 9, and that may seem a little bit strange given that you don't see the shark that much, and when you do, by today's standards, it doesn't necessarily look amazing. But that's the thing about Jaws. It manages to actually have B-movie visuals, sometimes. But it pulls them off in such a way that it still looks great. It has a charm to it. And as I said earlier, although it doesn't necessarily show the shark as much as Spielberg had initially wanted it to, that may have actually been for the best, as it gave the film a much more Hitchcockian feel, with an air of mystery to it. So overall, for the visuals and effects, I'm going to give it a 9, because it worked extremely well with what it had, or in the case of Jaws, what it didn't have when the shark wasn't working properly, and overall, it's a very good-looking film. As far as the audio and soundtrack, well, it's Jaws. Of course it's going to be a 10. It has one of the most iconic soundtracks of all time, simple and absolutely fantastic music in the film. It builds suspense, it marks when the shark is present. It's beautiful. The score of the film is absolutely fantastic, and not just the iconic shark music, but various other music in the film in moments of elation and terror are great. They serve the moment perfectly. So overall, it's most definitely a 10 from me as far as the overall audio and specifically the music and soundtrack. And finally, for the most personal of the 5 categories, the rewatchability and entertainment factor. And for that, again, I'm going to give this film a 10. Now, that is, of course, my opinion, and for different people, they will rate this film differently, but for me, I absolutely love Jaws. I can watch it any time and have a huge amount of enjoyment with it. I never get tired of this film. It's absolutely fantastic in terms of rewatchability and in entertainment, and the fact that the film is about these 3 men's relationship and working through problems, not just skipping around them, that makes it so good. The film isn't really about a shark. It's about the people dealing with the shark, and it works brilliantly. So overall, for the rewatchability and entertainment, I'm going to have to give it a strong 10. And overall, that actually means that Jaws is one of the highest rated movies on my personal scale that I've reviewed so far, with an overall tabulated score of an extremely high, and very deservingly so, 4.5 out of 5. And considering that pretty much no film I will ever review will get a 5, that's extremely high. And for a film from 1975, that is extremely respectable. So overall, if you haven't checked out Jaws yet, and you love movies, what are you doing? Go out and see this film as soon as possible. It's a fantastic movie. It holds up far better than so many other films of its age, or sometimes even newer, and it's probably unarguably still the best shark movie ever made. So, overall, that's it for this particular review. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.